Work is commenced on the kayak build. It's got this 16-foot long board, and I'm going to whip it with my circle saw. My saw is kind of small, so I got to do it in 2 passes. That's one piece cut. I just need to cut it this way. I've moved the boat working operation up to the roof. And I've almost finished ripping the gunnels, and while I'm waiting for the battery to charge so I can finish that last little bit, I went ahead and marked the backrest, the center, knee brace, and the footrest. Another battery. At Home Depot, I got this little rotary tool I'm going to use to cut the mortises. And also, I was kind of marking the profile of how I was going to cut out the different pieces of lumber. So I marked all my ribs, and I made this jig. My router fits in. It just has a little fence on the back. And I've just been cutting out these mortises. They're not coming out very well, but they're definitely getting better than when I started. I think I need to do them half depth and then do a second pass. So my mortises are drilled down to 1/4 inch, so I just need to take them all the way down to a 1/2 inch. All of my mortises are the full 1/2 inch deep. Next step will be to flip it over and put that little flares on the top. But to do that, I'll need to rip another piece off of here. Now I'm cutting out the triangles. Alright, so I got one side doweled in. It went pretty easy, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the other side. And then I marked off this angle, so I'm just going to go ahead and separate these now and plane that down. I got my first spreader in, and it's finally starting to look like a kayak. Got all my duck beams pegged in there. Next step will be to remove the windlasses so I can go ahead and plane the edges. So this edge has been planed in at an angle, and this one I still need to plane. My ribs are all cut out. Next they need to soak for 3 days before I can steam bend them. It's interesting that the water is turning black from the wood soaking. And some fabric. I found this rain gutter on the side of the road and I cut a hole in it and I bent the edges. I'm gonna see if it holds water. Put the ribs in. Alright, now all my lashings are down and I just cut out my combing mold. I'll go ahead and start bringing my steam bender up and start steam bending the ribs next. All the ribs steam bent and installed, and I just finished lashing the ribs to the keelson. Next step will be to put in the stringers. So this piece is what I'm going to bend the combing out of, just tapering the ends down so when they meet up. So my ribs were pretty loose because I didn't bend them very well. So I went ahead and lashed them to the gunnels, and now they feel much more sturdy. They're not popping out all the time. I went ahead and did the spacers for the stringers, and again I didn't bend my ribs very good, so I had some pretty big gaps. But the spacers were actually pretty easy to make. Ideally, I suppose I probably wouldn't have to have so many and such big ones, but you know, I think it'll work. I also went ahead and glued them just because like every time the boat shifts they were like falling off. I think it'll make my life a little easier when I'm lashing these gunnels. So that'll be the next step, just to lash the, not gunnels, the stringers. Just finished up the deck stringers, and that finishes up the woodworking for the frame. So I got the combing bent. I just ran it under hot water and bent it around the form. It actually wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Could have used a second set of hands to fit on the clamps though. I bent the rim around the combing that I bent first, and then I went ahead and put it back on the mold, and now so I could put my little skewers in. These are just like bamboo skewers, and I drilled them and then pounded them in. So I'm just gonna chop them all off. This is my favorite part. Got my paddle roughly shaped out with a planer, and then I'm just gonna round the tips off with a file. Just did a pass with the random orbit sander, and it's looking pretty smooth now. Got a first coat of varnish on there. We're all rolled out. Whoa! There's the stitching. It's stitched right here. Yeah. This side had a little bit of a wrinkle. This side looks good. Nice and tight. completed. Not bad. Balance in this kind of kayak.
Okay. Watch that shifting of your weight.
Got some learning to do.
Oh shit. Yep. There you go. Oh, you're so close.